Welcome to the True North Compliance Podcast, where we discuss regulatory and compliance issues for Canadian business.
Hello, I'm Sean O'Hara, and thanks for listening.
Welcome, everybody. My guest today is Shay, who is the owner of the Nest Aesthetics here in Victoria, BC. She's an experienced esthetician and medical esthetician with over 25 years in the industry. She combines clinical skincare expertise with a holistic lens, drawing on her training in phytotherapy and yoga therapy to support clients' overall well-being. At the Nest Aesthetics, Joe focuses on honest skincare results, offering skincare treatments such as microneedling for face and hair loss, chemical peels and facials in a calm, nurturing environment. Her work is grounded in integrity, clear communication, and a commitment to ongoing learning so she can provide thoughtful, results-driven care. Welcome, Joe.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being with me today. So tell me, what do you do at the Nest Aesthetics?
Well, I am the Nest Aesthetics. I'm a solo practitioner, so I work there by myself. My focus is on helping clients navigate an overwhelming amount of misinformation that is showing up in skincare right now, and providing services that are grounded in education and realistic expectations. As you said, I offer skin consultations, facials, microneedling, and chemical peels, and my services are highly individualized for each individual person.
How did you get into this? And
It's not a
why?
very dramatic story in that I didn't grow up dreaming about being an esthetician. When I left high school, I wasn't sure which direction I wanted to go in, and had a friend who was in the hair program who suggested that I go into aesthetics or look into aesthetics, and I did. I have always been a bit of a black sheep in every industry that I've ever been in, and I wasn't heavily into makeup or how I looked. I didn't really care about any of that. But I really love the idea of helping people to be more confident and comfortable in their own skin, and that part came very, very naturally to me. So I went straight into aesthetics at high school and have been doing it ever since.
So you've been doing this for over 25 years then?
Mhm.
And has it changed? Like, how have the regulations or the compliance changed in that time?
It's actually changed quite a bit. When I went to school, the program was very broad. So it was a very comprehensive program. We did skincare, we did waxing, nails, body treatments, massage therapy, for example. It was all encompassed in the same program. And it was licensed as well. So at the end of your training, you had to sit a license exam, and then you had to renew the license every year. Now the industry is much more fragmented in the sense that you can train in a single modality. So you can just train in waxing, or you can just train in nails or microneedling without the comprehensive overall program. There's no licensing anymore, no regulations or regulatory board, I should say. And there are excellent trainings available, but they're very varied. The quality and depth of that education is not very consistent. And then the term medical aesthetics developed over the 25 years that I've been practicing it. It's more of a distinction between how we practice versus different regulations, designations, sort of thing. In general, the medical aesthetics is used to describe estheticians who work with more advanced technologies or alongside medical professionals, but there's no separate governing board for them either. For me, what stayed consistent throughout is the foundation that I got doing the comprehensive program. I maintain the rules and regulations I had to follow back when we were licensed. I have maintained those structures coming through my whole career.
So medical doesn't necessarily refer to being practiced by a medical professional, like a nurse or a doctor.
No, they're often working underneath a medical professional, and there's some services that they do that are not needing to be governed by that medical professional. They're often working under a medical director, but sometimes the doctor will meet with the client and go over the treatment plan and depth of treatment and the style of treatment that you're doing. And then the medical esthetician will actually perform the individual treatments under the observation and supervision of the medical director.
It's a very gray area then.
Yes.
In your practice, what do you do that you would consider as medical aesthetics, and what do you do as non-medical aesthetics?
A lot of what I am trained to do in medical aesthetics, I'm not currently doing. I would consider laser treatments, both for skin, hair removal, and whatnot, to be in the medical aesthetics realm. I would probably put microneedling and chemical peels there as well, although estheticians, it's also in their scope to do it. It is that's where the gray area kind of comes between the two professions. And again, because I've been doing aesthetics for so long, I learned how to do all of these things before there was the medical aesthetics distinction. I have re-upped my certifications to be more in alignment with medical aesthetics now, but I did also learn those as an esthetician way back in the day.
Would one say that the difference is the non-medical would be hair, nails, waxing?
Yeah. And facials as well.
Facials.
Yeah. The more simple services would be considered aesthetics. And then the higher technology, the more in-depth services like microneedling and laser treatments would be more of the medical aesthetic side.
Almost once you hit some advanced equipment, then it becomes medical aesthetics.
Yeah, for people who don't really understand what aesthetics are, I usually use the equipment as that defining language, because the equipment is where it becomes a little bit more, you have to be more cautious and have higher training to work the equipment properly without harming the client. So I would often use that language as the description between the two.
Right? Because you're using lasers, which could pose some issues.
Yeah, and
So-
microneedling as well. Microneedling is puncturing the skin with little needles. So if you don't have the training or the understanding of how the skin works, you can do quite a bit of damage if you're not careful.
Right, and that has to be in a sterile environment as well.
Absolutely. Yes,
Similar with the chemical peels.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
in chemical peels, there's a distinction. Well, actually, with both microneedling and chemical peels, there's this distinction into the depth that we can go into as estheticians, medical estheticians, and then doctors or nurses can go quite a bit deeper with different products than I can go as an esthetician. And would be reasons why you would want to go deeper versus more superficial.
How do you mean deeper? As in depth into the skin? As in literally deeper or
Yes.
figuratively?
No, literally, yeah, depth. So in microneedling, the depth the needles insert into the skin is what I'm talking about. And then with chemical peels, they penetrate deeper into the levels of the skin. So for chemical peels, you can burn a client if you're using the wrong product on their skin or leaving it on for too long or going too deep.
So you really have to know what you're doing.
Yes.
Do you provide disclaimers? Is that a practice to provide disclaimers to patients about that? Or
In the
just to
se-
be careful
What do you mean by disclaimers?
about what the implications are? Or is it just,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they sign an informed consent before they have treatment. I have to do a consultation with them before they do the treatment. And in that, I go through all of the possible treatment outcomes, including like this could, in rare circumstances, happen, but my training will hopefully prevent it. But there's always a health history that's taken and then a client consent that's taken as well. That's required by Health Canada.
that's a good segue into who regulates you and your profession?
In BC, there is no singular regulatory college for either aesthetics or medical aesthetics, but there are layers of oversight. Health Canada regulates medical devices and certain products that are used, while local health authorities regulate our sanitation, infection prevention, and then establishment requirements. There are treatments that involve prescription products, such as Botox or other injectables, but those fall under the regulated health professionals like physicians and nurses. They are outside the scope of estheticians and medical estheticians.
And no one single regulatory body.
No, unfortunately, there's a lot of the onus to maintain ethics and safety practices and continued education. It all falls onto the individual practitioner, unfortunately. We're not a highly regulated industry, shockingly.
Different professions then can do similar, let's say, similar techniques, similar modalities, and be regulated by their college or not at all.
Yes.
The naturopathic doctor doing microneedling would be overseen by that college, and then a nurse practitioner is a separate college,
Absolutely.
even though it's the same technique,
Yes, absolutely.
which could certainly get into separate rules, separate regulators.
Yeah, and expectations of treatment as well. If, yeah, even you can just do a microneedling course. It's often about a week, and it's often taught in the sense of just teaching you the technique. It's not teaching you the impact you're having on the skin. You're not understanding skin physiology. It's more about how to go through the process versus understanding what exactly you're doing, which is a little bit frightening as well.
Yeah, that could be very frightening, and people wouldn't know.
Mhm. Absolutely.
And you mentioned earlier about the misinformation. How does that play into all of this?
I would say that is the largest thing that I deal with on a day-to-day basis. There is so much misinformation about individual ingredients, outcomes of product, outcomes of treatment, how a treatment should be done, when a treatment should be done. I am helping clients daily weed through various different aspects. I will have clients coming in saying that they want a certain treatment that is not applicable to their skin or not going to do them any benefit at all. And then I have to spend a lot of time re-educating them on the true outcomes of different things. It's a lot. The misinformation is everywhere. It is social media. TikTok is social media, but TikTok and Instagram are pretty much the bane of my existence in that sense. Because there's people who are on those platforms saying that they are dermatologists or estheticians, and in true reality, they're neither. They're just influencers of some variety. And even amongst my field, there's misinformation. We are often taught one singular product line, and that product line wants to sell that product line. So they often speak poorly about other product lines and in misinformation there about other products as well. So even amongst my field, amongst my industry, there's a lot of misinformation, and it's a lot of, you're reading through a lot of it to get to the truth.
It's a complex thing.
It's very complex, and it does require, I do a lot of continued education, research. I read a lot of studies. I'm a bit of a geek in that sense. I really like to learn. So it does require me as a practitioner and every individual practitioner to do a lot of the research to find the true information and the truth behind things, or the accurate, I should say, maybe. Yeah, it does require us to do a lot of self-driven learning.
When clients first come to you, it sounds like I won't say they know what they want, they think they know what they want, or do they come saying, I have an issue, what can you do about it?
Both, absolutely both. And because I also offer the skin consultations, some people come to me and say, here's everything that I'm using, what's of benefit and what's not of benefit. Or they've had a friend who's had a chemical peel and got really great results, so they think they want to try it. So we talk about their health history and their goals to really decipher what is best for their unique condition and their unique skin versus trying to fit into a trend or a product specifically. Every single treatment that I do starts with a conversation.
I notice looking at your website that you have that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really important to me. And I'm very, very honest. So if somebody comes in and they're using a $300 serum that they've been told is the best thing they can possibly use on their skin, and I don't think it is going to be as beneficial as a $20 product, or that they shouldn't be using it at all, I will be very honest about that. I don't want people spending money on trends that are unnecessary for what they have. And that includes treatment. If somebody comes in wanting a treatment from me and I don't actually think it's going to accomplish their goals, I will be very clear on that and make other suggestions that would be in the correct direction for what they're looking to accomplish.
People tend to come both knowing and not knowing, because what I've noticed with a lot of aesthetics is people have to have an idea of why they're there. It doesn't start with, I have an issue, how do I solve it?
Sometimes it
right
does.
now.
Sometimes people come in and they have, people who have acne are often seeking out treatment to help with their acne. So that would be a condition they're coming, or pigmentation, fine lines and wrinkles. Those would be reasons why people might come. But I often find right now that my clients are both very well informed in the sense that they have done some of their own research, but oftentimes that research leads them to be more confused. So my place in that is to help them again understand what part of their research is accurate and true for their skin, and what is that misinformation. Yeah, some people will come in specifically because they've heard microneedling is an amazing treatment, so they are coming in a little bit more specific for the treatment, and then it's a different conversation. But every client is unique in the sense that why they show up at my door could be different.
Interesting. People tend to start searching when they have an issue first. How can they tell then if they're following an influencer who's not qualified, or can they?
It's very complicated, and it's not always clear, honestly. I mean, even for myself, when I'm part of the business is that I have to be online. So even for myself, as I'm looking online, I am following people who I know are dermatologists or in the industry, and the way that they describe something could be misleading as well. And I think it's probably well intentioned. They're not trying to be misleading, but their focus and what they're trying to say doesn't land in the way that they're wanting it to land. So it's very murky. It's very challenging to know who is speaking factually and who is marketing.
That's difficult for you. It's even more difficult for a consumer.
Absolutely.
Right. How do you follow them? Is it through Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Patreon?
I don't like social media, so I am avoiding most of it. I just exclusively use Instagram. Yeah. Mostly because it's the one that I'm familiar with and everything else overwhelms me.
There's a lot there.
There is a lot. Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the industry in Victoria it's big, but it's small for us. We all know of each other. So I do know I have a large list of recommendations for my clients who I trust for certain services, who I either see myself or know to be of a similar caliber to myself. So I have a large referral list in the local sense.
It's good. It's very handy.
Hmm.
Your industry isn't regulated. Do you belong to any organizations for your profession?
No, because there isn't any specific organization that's managing us. I'm not a member of any particular organizations, but continuing education is something that's extremely important to me. So there are organizations, MCAS, I actually don't know what it stands for, International Medical Aesthetics. Anyway, there's a organization called MCAS that I do follow. They offer a lot of great webinars. They have a great discussion board. So folks from dermatologists down to medical aesthetics can post there if they're seeing things in the treatment room that are new or challenging. So I can follow that to see where the industry is going and be a little bit of a fly on the wall to hear what's going on in dermatologist and nursing levels as well. I attend conferences. Like I said, I do a lot of research, but because it's not governed by a single professional college, it really is up to the individual to continue their education and ethically self-govern.
From a marketing perspective, what kinds of claims or language do you need to be careful about in your website or your social media or when you're talking with people?
I have to be very careful with my marketing to not overpromise or
Yep.
make any medical claims. I am not a medical professional, so I have to be very careful in that realm. And I avoid language like cure or guaranteed, again, just so that I'm not overpromising and creating unreal expectations for treatments. A lot of my marketing is more around the why behind why we might do a treatment or why behind a product, educating in that sense without any overpromising. I really truly believe that clients deserve transparency. Skin is so complex and the results depend on so many different factors that saying a specific treatment will yield X results is incorrect because it depends on your consistency of treatment, your health history, your lifestyle, and your home care is a large piece of it too. So a lot of the onus falls onto the client. So if I'm making claims, but I don't know those pieces of their history, I'm making inaccurate claims. So I prefer to educate clients honestly, again, like I said, about what a treatment could improve on rather than promising perfect results.
So what challenges have you faced with marketers you've worked with in this area?
I do all my own marketing, so I actually don't work with anybody else that's marketers. Because I'm a solo esthetician, I can really guide my own marketing in the way that I feel comfortable with. And again, my whole concept is based around honesty. So that's typically where I stem from for everything.
Ever been burnt by bad marketers?
I have been burnt in the sense that other people's marketing has burnt me, and that I have to spend a lot of time with clients re-educating, but not in my own sense, no.
So they've been promised things that are just not deliverable.
Yeah, and a lot of my clients do come to me after receiving poor results or, yeah, poor results elsewhere, and I do a lot of fixing in that sense too.
A lot of repair work, sort of.
Yeah, which again comes into like in microneedling and chemical peels specifically. If they go somewhere where they were promised in 3 sessions that they were going to have magically youthful skin, and then they come to me and they're upset with their results, I can explain to them why they are where they're at, and we can work through. And a lot of time, microneedling, if you're not careful with how you do it, you pull the needles across the skin and cause scratches through the skin, which takes some time to heal. So I do some repair work there. And then same with chemical peels. I often get people coming to me after being burnt by somebody. They still want to try chemical peels, but in a more controlled environment, or we just repair the burns and help them get back to a baseline of healthy skin.
How severe can these burns and cuts be?
With estheticians, medical estheticians, the burns are significant, but they're not permanent in the sense that they don't cause permanent scarring necessarily. And that's mostly because of the depth that we're allowed to go to. We can't even get access to the higher levels of chemical peels because of the regulations of the clients or the companies selling the chemical peel product. With microneedling, they can cause permanent scars on the skin if it's not done properly. It can be quite dramatic, and it's scary for clients. It can be quite frightening.
You really have to check that their practitioners are trained and know what they're doing.
Absolutely. And that requires you to know which questions to ask, which not everybody knows as well. Mhm.
Can you tell us some of what they should be asking?
It's asking if somebody's certified in a certain treatment isn't necessarily the best question because, like I said, you can just take a weekend course and it will show you the technique, but not the why behind it. So asking questions of what is this doing to my skin? What is the process that's happening in the levels of my skin? That's where you're going to know. If they can't answer those questions, they don't know what's happening. They don't know the why behind the treatment. And those would be people that I would steer away from.
They can't fully explain it.
Yes. And it's very sciencey, and a lot of people don't have the language to explain it, but they will be able to piece together an explanation. If they can't answer it at all, that would be where I would turn and run. Mm-hmm.
That means they've just done the week-long course and they don't have the in-depth.
Absolutely.
And then if they say they're outside of Greater Victoria and they have been damaged, they have had a bad experience, what can they do? Can they find people like you?
I would do exactly that. Just ask a ton of questions to people that are getting deeper into the why behind the treatment, and they'll be able to find somebody. And people who offer skin consultations are typically the people who understand the skin a little bit more. There is an element of one of the things that I like about owning my own business is there's no requirement for me to be selling product to people. When you work for other people, they typically carry a product line that you're required to sell. So oftentimes you have to push product that might not be right for the skin. Whereas if you're doing a skin consultation, typically what your purpose for that is getting people to their beautiful baseline of healthy skin. It's a good opportunity to go in and just have a conversation with the practitioner so that you can ask specifics as like, what is this vitamin C doing in my skin that I might need it? And you'll be able to, if you ask those kind of questions, you'll be able to gauge whether or not the person has the in-depth knowledge that they need to have to fix your skin.
Great. So it's the questioning.
Mm-hmm.
And going in and ask, I've been damaged. This has happened to me. I went through this treatment. How can you fix it? And then see how they respond.
Mm-hmm. And if their response is you're going to buy these 7 products, they're not the right person. They're just going for sales.
Okay. So very much a buyer beware.
Very, yes.
Looking down the road, what changes do you see? You've seen a lot of changes in the years that you've been doing this and the fragmentation and the regulations and so on. What kinds of changes do you see in regulations, in treatments?
I think we'll continue to see a stronger expectation around education, around transparency, ethical marketing, I'm hoping is something that will come down the line. Clients are way more informed, like I said, and they are asking better questions about qualifications, device safety, ingredients, etc. I really hope there will eventually be pressure for more standardized education and a clear oversight for my field. within Canada. But I'm hoping that's the way it goes, but I don't necessarily see that happening. But I would love to see licensing come back.
Trying to get into more of a regulated industry with
Absolutely.
with a certification that people could put on their websites.
Yeah, that would be brilliant. Anything to make it more clear for clients as to where to go that's trusted would be lovely. But again, I don't know if it's going to go in that direction.
It may. We currently have what's been phrased an activist government in this province.
If clients are driving the bus, that's where it's going to go. Because like I said, they're far more curious and educated, and they are asking better questions. So if the population who's getting the treatments are the ones that are driving the change, that's definitely where it will what will happen.
We'll have to see how that evolves.
Yeah.
So therefore, even going to a practitioner's website and seeing a certification in the footer isn't necessarily reassuring then.
It's reassuring in the sense they have some training. You can also apprentice, so you don't necessarily need to do courses. You could apprentice, but I have been in places where there are 30 certificates on a wall, and that's brilliant because it means that they're continuing their education, but it doesn't really mean that they have a foundation understanding of skin. I mean, it matters more in certain elements of aesthetics than others. Waxing is a fairly simple process, but even that, I would love my practitioner to know why they're pulling in a certain direction versus another. It is tricky. Seeing certification isn't necessarily the tell that they're understanding what they're doing.
Fascinating.
I am not making it sound very positive, but it is the way of the world right now.
Well, it's good to make people aware because as a marketer, that's what interests me is when I've looked at a lot of businesses in general, they tend to go with, they're expecting people to already know what they want. And with the rise, especially with AI searches, artificial intelligence searches, they are going through sites that are providing that information. And people aren't necessarily initially starting with, I want this treatment. They're starting with, I have this event coming up, or I have this condition coming up. I have something I want to deal with. I have a problem. And the people who are providing that information first may be doing better in the AI searches and then more likely to be at least have their sites reached and then booked from there.
One of the things that is fairly consistent across people who are trained at a level that to understand the skin is a blog. A lot of websites that have blogs that go into the why behind certain things, you'll be able to tell through their blog if they truly understand. Well, maybe not, because I guess AI can rate that. I don't use AI necessarily, so I'm not sure how it works, but a lot of the people that I trust have blogs on their websites that do go into the in-depth reasons behind treatments.
I guess that's a whole other issue on that.
AI is probably going to change everything for us, even before and after photos. I don't trust before and after photos. I never post them, even if I'm taking the photo and I can see the difference between the before and after. It's just too easy to edit photos to look better than they are. So I don't trust before and after photos at all. I'm very skeptical myself on treatments. So if I haven't seen it, I don't trust it.
Makes that very complex.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. As you've gone through this journey in your practice, what have you learned along the way? What would you tell yourself looking back at the beginning?
Oh, that's such a good question. I think the thing that I would share with myself in the beginning, when I went to school, like I said, it was a very broad program. So we learned, like I said, nails and waxing and things that I didn't have a passion for necessarily. I'm not an artist in any sense of the word. So nail art, which has become huge, is not my thing. I think if I were to go back and tell myself what to look forward to, it would be the continued education, that there's always something to learn, some new technology, new awareness of treatment outcomes, that's really exciting. And that I do have the ability to structure what I do around what I really love. And I can leave the aspects of the industry that I don't like for the people who really love that. Again, I think coming up in an era where we were a jack of all trades, we did everything. It was really hard to understand that I could make the choice to just focus on skin. And now 25 years in, I get the opportunity to do that, which is quite exciting.
And that'll change too with newer treatments, new technologies, new coming along.
Even the microneedling for hair loss, that's a newer, I wouldn't say that's necessarily in the skin realm, and yet it is. The advancements and development in that have been phenomenal, and I'm very excited about that. That's my new favorite treatment to offer. But yeah, treatments change consistently, and that's part of what's fun about it is you're constantly having to maneuver and learn, and I love that aspect of the industry.
I was listening to a podcast yesterday that was getting into more of clinical trials and so on, and peptides and all sorts of things, and the effect that that will have on all of us.
Mm-hmm.
That's all new tech.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Thank you, Joe. This has been fascinating. How can people contact you and reach you?
Either through my website, which is thenestasthetics.ca, or through Instagram. I'm at the.nest.aesthetics, or they can give me a phone call. I am pretty much always available for email, text, or any of the above.
Great. And we will put all of that into the show notes.
Thank you.
My guest today has been Joe Shay, who is the owner of the Nest Aesthetics here in Victoria, BC. Thank you so much for speaking with me today, Joe.
Thank you for having me.
And that's a wrap.